Greetings. Welcome to Growth Hacking Show, where we have the founders, CEOs, presidents, consultants, and serial entrepreneurs come and share their experiences. What are the missteps to avoid to grow your business so that way you want to stick around, and they share their success secrets. You can steal their success secrets and grab it and implement for your business, for your future growth and prosperity of your life and your family. And in fact, your employees are also your family if you really look at them. It's not only your personal family. So I have a very special guest today. I know you might be thinking I say to every guest. No, not really. Let me tell you why. There are very few. I'm making a bold statement. It may be controversial. However, my guest is going to prove it. I'm going to put a pressure on him to actually prove it. Everything what I'm about to say about him. I have interviewed hundreds, maybe 12, 1,300 people, and stop counting, in fact, really. And there are very few out of them who are really passionate. They had a huge challenge in their personal life. That's why they started that business, not only to improve themselves, they actually change the world for a better, for your own health, for your client health and client's health, and make it a better place, healthy place to live. So my guest is seeing, I didn't say anything yet. However, that's why it's a health and wellness business. And first, they have created their own better health for themselves as a family. Not only himself, his wife also has some health challenge. And they actually cracked the code, I would say, to really live a healthy life. And now, then later they started the company who's helping other people like me and you watching, and created a business out of it. And I'm talking about no other than my guest, Ken Robbins. He is a founder and CEO of ResponseMindHealth.com. I'm going to show the website in a moment. He is a direct response marketer and health nut. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddique. How are you today?
Wonderful. How about you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, Ken. Ken, where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to get started on a health mind? This is ResponseMindHealth.com.
Wow. Well, actually, I started earlier in direct marketing. I was 20 years ago, I was selling real estate, and I failed at selling real estate in the beginning. And then I read a book on prospecting, and I started knocking on doors as a result of that. And one guy's door, after about 10 years of being very successful at real estate, one guy's door that I knocked on, a fellow named Brent Kuhn, owned an ad agency. And he recruited me out of real estate in 1996 to come work in direct response advertising. Then a couple of years later, he backed me and we started ResponseMind. But that's not really the question you're asking. The question you're asking is about how I got into a health focus. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we had, we rode the wave from 2001 up until 2009, 2010 of internet, right? Everything internet. We're a great digital agency. We had fantastic clients, retail, home services, all sorts of things. But in 2006, I had been hit by a drunk driver. And it took me 6 months before I was able to walk unaided again. And even now, I have a titanium femur rod in my right leg. The right leg had to be reconstructed. But I was a big guy. Even though I'm vegetarian, vegan all this time, I was 329-pound vegan in 2009. And I decided that I was tired of walking around in pain, being sedentary. I had 3 children that were becoming more active. And so I just changed my life. I started losing weight and I lost over 100 pounds. And then in 2012, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had some surgeries that didn't get it all. It was recommended that she do chemotherapy and radiation, and she declined. She decided to attack her health from a more holistic lifestyle. I was going through a transformation personally, starting to lift weights, starting to exercise a little bit, but really I just changed my diet. I just began to eat more healthy. And she took this, I think she was in some way influenced by that, but really her own determination and grit not to do chemotherapy and radiation. And now, as I've told others, she just had her latest PET scan is almost perfectly clear, even though she's an advanced cancer patient with no chemo and radiation. There's almost no detectable cancer in her system because of her health focus. And because of this change over the last 5 and 6 years, I decided that we would begin to move our company, which is digital direct response marketing, into health, wellness, and fitness. I wanted a higher purpose, something more than just helping clients make tens of millions of dollars more in revenues. I wanted to help people who were putting others in a state of health. And that's the short version of how we got to where we are.
So it's a great, very powerful story, and I am so glad to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing your personal, especially from your wife as well. And because, many people in their personal story, they don't really want to share it with the quote unquote strangers. How are the people you're watching? They are your new friends, so.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and also you shared with me right before this interview that you do not take a client if they are
Pharma. And if they're doing something that does not put somebody in a state of health. So, for example, I won't take on a plastic surgery client. Now, I don't judge anybody for what they do, but I'm just not going to take on somebody who is that's not health. That's vanity. And there's certain types of other medical clients I won't take on. I won't take on health clients who make unprovable claims. And I certainly will not take on a pharmaceutical client under any circumstances. And that's a little controversial. That's controversial inside my company because there are a lot of health-focused ad agencies that will take on pharma, and they make a lot of money from it.
In fact, pharma has big money.
Yes. More than half of all advertising spend in health comes from pharmaceutical companies shoving their chemicals into people. But there are also more class action lawsuits. Johnson & Johnson just got a $400 million judgment against them because they knew that there was asbestos in their talcum powder. Johnson & Johnson's just a chemical company shoving it out in the population. And that's if they can live with that, that's them, but I don't want them as a client. I don't want Eli Lilly as a client. I don't want GSK as a client. Now, will I take an aspirin if I have a bad headache from drinking too much wine the night before? Absolutely. But I prefer not to be leading others down the path of that type of, those products.
So
now,
your company want to make money with the purpose, not only to just make money and do whatever. It's not just a money driven.
Yes, that's right. Because there's so many ways to make money. I mean, we have orthopedic neurosurgeons as clients, and we have we just landed Mayo Clinic as a client. I mean, these are people who are taking people out of pain. They're making them more ambulatory. They're fixing their chronic problems, and they're adding vitality, not just life and years to their life. They're giving them more vitality back. The worst thing possible is for somebody over the age of 50 or 60 to not be able to move because they're in back pain or leg pain or orthopedic pain. And so, these people are, these doctors, these professionals are doing great things. So I have a great appreciation for the skills and what the medical community does for people. But their overlords, the pharmaceutical companies, I think deal in a very underhanded way, and I just prefer not to have them as clients.
So your team is also like a heart center. They are all like of course, contribute to that mission. Otherwise, if they're not passionate about health-centered one, they won't be really working in your team as well.
Yes, that's true. And this is a fascinating thing. One of the senior most people on our team, Andrew Baum, I think he has lost over 100 pounds. SVP of operations, he has had a huge dramatic change in his health, and he's lifting weights now, and he's lost 70 or 80 pounds. And I mean, these are people who have a lot of vitality. I have people who lift weights. I have a boxer on staff. I have, I noticed that in my 11,000 square feet of space in Buckhead, there was protein powder in the carpets on both sides of the building. And that's because There are people supplementing. There are people eating clean. There are people eating organic. There are people making smoothies in the kitchen, and it's all over the place. This is now the world of health consumerism, and I love it. You know, back in the 80s, Siddique, you notice that all the pharmacies used to get remodeled in the grocery stores. Kroger, Publix, they became bigger, bigger spaces. They saw that as a great source of money, but not now. Now what you see is that the organic sections and the produce sections have been doubled and tripled and quadrupled in size.
Yeah.
And organic farms are exploding because people innately, it's not from school, it's not from these other professional or sort of standard sources. They see it innately. I don't feel good. I'm not feeling well. I need to eat better. I need to move more. And I just love it. This explosion of health consumerism is the market is rising up to serve it, and I want to serve those companies that are trying to serve that market.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So Ken, based on your experience, what are the top 3 missteps to avoid for business growth?
Well, they're going to be the same thing. I mean, anybody who's got more than 5 or 6 years of experience, I'm sure has made this number 1 mistake, and that is, I have never, ever, ever fired somebody too quickly. That is the number 1 mistake I've made. I've kept someone on staff who wasn't committed, who was distracted, who was not in alignment with either the mission or the work or the quality or the service that we have to provide. I'm in the business of professional services. And in the internet, that's a 24/7 thing. Now, I don't ask that my employees work at 10 o'clock at night, but if a client emails them at 9 o'clock at night with a problem, on a Saturday with a website or our marketing or keywords or something like that, somebody needs to respond. And so, you know, I've too often over the years kept somebody who was valuable and talented, but had a poor attitude or misaligned with the company. That's the number 1 mistake for sure. Absolutely. You asked for 3. Number 2 mistake I would say is that from time to time, I have been distracted and myself as the CEO gotten down into the day-to-day work. So I've wanted to help out. And so, well, let me go to this trade show for you. Let me go take care of this for you. Let me meet with that client on your behalf, or let me go do that presentation for you if you're busy. So I do see that part of my job is to support the executives in the company. A big part of it is because they're the ones doing the work. They're the ones creating the product, the service, hitting the client's goals. And so my job is a support role, even though I'm the CEO. But that doesn't mean that I should be doing the work. And when I end up jumping down in and doing that, and here's a great example of a mistake that I made a year ago. In 2017, we were under some sales pressure. We were not adding medical clients we wanted to penetrate the medical and healthcare and wellness and hospital market, and we weren't penetrating it as fast as we thought. I said, well, I'll jump in. Give me a list of trade shows. I'll go hit 3 or 4. And I was on the road a lot. I went to Shushmid, the hospital show. I went to HIMSS, the healthcare information marketing show, and several large physician conferences. I did a lot of networking. But see, that's me doing the work. My job really should be to challenge my staff. You go open up that market. And it's my job to work on next year and the future years, not this year. Fortunately, you know, I have a great team, and they will help me extract myself from the day-to-day when we identify that. I would say the third thing is that one of the mistakes that I've gotten very good at, but early on I made this mistake, not watching cash flow. In a professional services business, you know, we don't go get loans, for example. And very often we're doing the work and then we're paid in arrears. And then when you add sales, that outstrips your cash flow. So it took me the first 4 or 5 years to get strict about that. And one of the things that really helped was hiring a very talented, very smart VP of Finance, Mark Hamilton. And he and I have a good sync on cash flow, receivables, et cetera. And that has helped immensely. So I would say those 3 things are keeping the wrong person, as Good to Great would say, on the bus too long, getting down in the weeds too much and not working on the business, but working too much in the business sometimes. And thirdly, just paying attention to cash, because the faster we grow, the more it outstrips cash up front until the receivables catch up.
Definitely. That's a growth pain, you know.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ken. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure the people watching that, you may want to watch your cash flow to bank account balance, you know, after looking at everyone else to pay too. So let's change the side of the table now. So what are your top 3 success secrets for a business growth based on, because you have grown your own business and growing it right now. And plus you have seen your clients grow with your services as well at the same time. I just want the top 3. So give us the top best one.
I'll tell you, the absolute number one thing is be trustworthy. Tell the truth, do what you say you're going to do, own your mistakes. Those are 3 things. I had a friend who started a business about 25 years ago, and he was working with Norfolk Southern. And this is before I got into advertising or anything. And I said, how's your day going? He said, it's going really rough. I said, why? He said, because I made a huge mistake with this company, and I had to just hop in my car, go over and visit the CEO and sit in front of him and say, I completely screwed this up. All of your programming, all your software, we're going to miss our deadline. And he was so impressed with me, just the CEO of this company, walking into the CEO of Norfolk Southern saying that he made a mistake. He said, all right, what's the new deadline? He said, it was such an amazing thing to have the pressure relieved of the mistake that I felt more pressure to perform and hit my deadlines and be of better quality going forward. I found this to be true. You can't operate a complex business without making mistakes. I mean, I can't cook a meal without making a mistake, adding too much salt occasionally or whatever. But when you tell the client or you tell your employees, I screwed this up, I messed up, I made a mistake, how would you like for me to take care of it? What can I do to make it right? That's all they want. They don't want perfection. They want to know that you're trustworthy. And that's the number one thing you can do to build trust. Do what you say you're going to do, own your mistakes. So that's success secret number 1. It doesn't matter what you do. Your ability to tell the truth all the time becomes your personal brand, whatever it is. And the number 1 rule in our company, 7 rules are up on the wall. The number 1 rule in our company is that our word is our bond. And the clearest, first, simplest thing you can do to demonstrate your word is your bond is show up for meetings on time. If you show up at the meetings at 8 o'clock and you walk in the door at 8 o'clock, you're actually late because you're not settled. Show up 2 or 3 minutes beforehand for every meeting. And everyone knows this. It sounds like a little pet peeve, but it's a demonstration of your commitment to your word. The second success secret, I would say, is do something valuable and prove your success. So this is what I love about direct marketing, is that in direct marketing, I'm able, and the teams are able to demonstrate the actual ROI of the money spent. There's no reason for somebody to advertise unless they're going to get more money back or more customers as a result of that. And so what I find, one of the crimes of the advertising industry is that as a whole, it often fails to prove that it has increased customers and sales and revenues. It talks about things like brand awareness, engagement, share of voice, unaided recall. To me, these are all bull crap. They're amorphous. They're intangible. You spend millions of dollars on something, you should get tens of millions of dollars back. That's an investment. Marketing is an investment. It should produce a return. So I would say rule number 2 is do something valuable and demonstrate that you're doing something valuable. Don't just do make work for people. You're wasting time, yours and somebody else's. The third thing I would say is coach well. Coach your people well. And I think that at my company, there are times when I haven't done this really well, but now even my executive team is very good about how they coach people, and they're very intentional about it. Reviewing mistakes honestly. So if I meet with a senior executive and we talk about an objective that was not hit, if I take the attitude, if I start that meeting with, you didn't hit the objective, damn it, why didn't you do it? We missed this revenue target, we didn't land this, we messed up this for a client deliverable. Well, that's a very negative, judgmental perspective. But if I started from the standpoint of, hey, this objective was missed, this client deliverable was missed, what was not in place? What could the company have done better? Is there some way to redesign the system? What can we do? Do you have the right team members? If I start as if it's a problem to be solved and we're both working through it and I'm coaching them to work the problem in front of them, that's a much better result. So I would say invest in coaching your key executives. And I mean, I have several people that are senior and have more experience than I do at various parts of the business. And frankly, I'm unable to coach them on the technicalities of what they do. But then I'll hire it out. I'll bring in a trusted advisor consultant, or I'll bring in a theory of constraints consultant, or there's this great program called Leaders Lyceum that's about teaching people to move up and be a more authentic leader. I didn't go to those classes, but I'll send 3 or 4 people to it each year. So those are 3 things I would say that are very seminal to growing a company. If you're just going to have a small business with 3 or 4 employees, maybe not all of them are important. But if you're going to grow, you've got to develop your team. You've got to be honest with them and clients, because those clients will come back and buy from you. And I would say that those have been very, very helpful to me to commit to those.
Thank you so much. Very solid and amazing. You know, even a small business of 1 employee can use it. You have to be honest. Doesn't matter what you do anyway. You know, so before time, when he says it's come few minutes earlier than the meeting, I call, you know, my little inner circle people, I say, before time is on time. If you're on time, you're already late. So that's exactly the same thing. So
that's us veterans saying that.
Yeah.
We have to teach the youths.
Yes. So. Yes. So Ken, how are you growing your company right now, responsementhealth.com?
Well, I mentioned theory of constraints a moment ago. We invest in marketing heavily ourselves. We invest in a sales staff, and more importantly, we think very much about tightening up our value proposition. So, you know, as a marketing company, we could work with lots of businesses. I could work in travel, automotive, etc., but I don't choose to. By tightening up a market, what I do is we develop expertise. So we have lots of medical clients, lots of fitness clients, lots of medical device and sports apparel, sports companies, sports equipment clients. And by understanding these markets, by having an entire team dedicated to multi-channel retail and understanding the wellness consumer and the sports consumer, they provide more value. And that allows that what we get from that is referrals. Then companies are referred to us because they say, this company is an expert at the wellness consumer, the fitness consumer. And because we've developed things like our own HIPAA compliant call center, which is unique. I doubt there's another agency in North America that has its own HIPAA compliant call center inside of its offices. When we're fully staffed and we have all of our programs running, we've had as many as 40 agents working at once across all of our various clients. And that adjusts by seasonality, of course. But by committing and focusing on certain industries, you develop more inherent value for those clients because you become more familiar. And so we do that, and that is definitely a part of our growth. The second thing is we commit very much to understanding how the funnel works and filling the funnel. So we focus on a single metric, which is meaningful conversations. How many meaningful conversations, Siddique, did you have today? How many meaningful conversations, John, did you have today? And all of our executive team and the salespeople report on how many meaningful conversations do they have. We've toyed with this. We've tried follow-up conversations. We've tried leads in the system. And the best thing we found is meaningful conversations. And that's the first conversation you have with anybody who could do business with the agency. So if we increase that over time, and now we measure that diligently, if we increase that over time, the agency will never stop growing. That's just a fact. So that it's very systemic. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A meaningful conversation. So I don't call this an interview. I call it a conversation, because on my website the tab is a conversation. I don't say even an interview, because it's all about having a conversation. You know, I ask a question, you answer it, and you kind of back and forth. It's just a conversation. No one is yelling at anyone else. That's what the people want to watch, it is having a conversation now we need to add one more word, meaningful conversation. Yeah, it's not just like I made 10 calls. How many people are, oh, I'm expecting a call back. That doesn't mean anything, So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So Ken, you have been from your personal story to running a business, being a executive of the company and managing other people. Still running a business is a roller coaster. Sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. It's, it's like up and down. That's it. That's the
Mhm.
reality of life running as a CEO is. So here is my question. What keeps you going in a down moment?
I love the business. I love what we do. Probably the single most difficult time I ever had at the company was in July of 2009. In July of 2009, I lost my two largest clients. One I'd had for 5 years, the other for 3 years, Staples and Home Depot. I had to lay off 22 people in one day. Now, we saw it coming. We knew a couple of months in advance that this was likely to happen. We had aspirations of keeping one of them, but to lose both these clients and get a 50% haircut in revenues in 1 month, in the middle of the year, already half the year gone, was very challenging. My partners and I were at a little bit at odds. I knew, and I did lose a couple of senior executives during that period. I had to let one or two of them go. And it was all very difficult because, no matter what anybody says, business is very personal. These are people's lives. And so that was probably a seminal point for us because we could have shrunk. In 2008, we hit $6.7 million in revenue. In 2009, even losing those two clients, we hit 6.9 million. And the reason is because I grabbed the best person I thought, an executive who was running the Home Depot team, Leah Peterson, who had a fantastic network and was very personable and very, very business savvy and aggressive, understood what we did clearly. She and I went on the road and started meeting with past clients and new prospects, and we refilled the funnel right away. And it was an heroic effort, especially on her part and on the team's part for us, because we went down to where we had we were operating at zero profits. And then all of a sudden in Q4, we came back ablaze and have mostly grown every year. So we had a couple of flat years since then, but last year we hit 17 million in revenue. So how do I get through it? Well, having difficult times like that, it gives you sort of the grit to persevere, because if I made it through that period, well, I can withstand anything less than that for sure. And the second thing is I just love what we do. I mean, I think we produce amazing results for clients. Our clients come to us because they're not growing at the pace they want. They're not getting the results they want out of digital marketing. And when they come to us, within 3 to 6 months, their business, their growth curve starts to change. Their trajectory changes, at least from their digital marketing. And I guarantee those results. So that's gratifying and it's purposeful. And I get up every morning at 3:45 to 4 o'clock and go into the office. So
wonderful. It's amazing. So as a growth hacking show community, people who are watching this right now, how they can support you?
Wow. I saw that question on your list, and I thought about it a little bit. And I like this question because a couple of years ago, we began to experiment and commit more intentionally to sourcing outside of our agency. We have fantastic talent in our agency, but we don't have all the talent that we need. We've partnered with other people. So for video production, which we don't really have that type of capability in-house, for large health population analytics, we partnered with people. For list building, for content creation. So if you in your audience have people who are experts at writing, at analysis, at market studies, those are things that we source outside of our company on a frequent basis, and would be I'd be glad to know those people. I'm willing to read any solicitation email that comes into me. I don't reject them out of hand. Unless they're just, unless they're written the wrong way. But I'll take just about anybody's call and give them 5 minutes, because in the battle for customers, And it can be a battle, right? I'm battling other agencies. I'm battling inertia in order to sell our value proposition. I never know which vendor is going to come in with a great Gatling gun that I may need in the next battle. So I want to hear what's new, what's the latest, what's greatest, and my team does. So that's probably the best way to help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So you heard it directly from Ken. Go ahead and connect with him on LinkedIn and visit the website and see their amazing work and take on that offer. If that's you, if it's not you, then you probably want to, someone who probably is looking for something like this too. However, they need to have a passion, okay, heart-centered one. You already watched the whole interview. Ken, as we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word?
I would say that there is, well, number one is that in business, most people I find can prospect and connect with more people, maybe 10 times more than they thought. This is a lesson I learned from real estate. I was knocking on 20 doors a day, and I had someone tell me that I was an idiot because I was the only person willing to knock on doors to sell residential real estate in my early 20s, that I should be knocking on 100 doors a day. And I thought, that's so obvious. And I started knocking on 150 doors 3 days a week. And the revenues and the customers and the clients and the listings just poured in. And so whatever business you're in, continually pressing on prospecting, connecting with people, and sharing with them what you do and your passion for what you do is clearly, undeniably, the single easiest way to grow. And that would be my advice, because there are very few people I meet that don't want to grow their business. There's some, oh, I like what I have. It's a cottage industry. It's a lifestyle business. But we don't usually become very intimate friends. Most of the people I hang around have great ambitions. They are CEOs of companies. They've run publicly traded business, and whatever they're doing, they want it to get much bigger. They want it to scale. And scaling is about finding more customers. So that's the advice I would give. Never stop prospecting, and always tell the truth.
Always tell the truth and always be prospecting. That's the word, today's word. Thank you so much, Ken, for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of Growth Hacking Show community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia, wishing you good luck, good sales, and I do hope our path cross again with another amazing guest. Until then, all best wishes.
Thank you. Thanks.